Welcome. You can't make this shit up.
You can't.
This is your host, David Washington, and I'm Joel Hawksley, your co-host. Oh, let's see.
Do this.
We are here.
Do this.
We are here at the Oxford Sports Pub and Secret Society
in Altamont Springs.
So we've come to Seminole.
Yes.
So I like coming to Seminole because it's a little easier for me.
Spraying our wings. It's just up the road for me from Baldwin Park.
And today we're going to be talking about Partisan. So you get to be a Democrat and I get to be a Republican again.
Yay. Democrat in Florida.
Instead of just trying to stay in the middle. Oh, God. So I have to explain to people that might be unaware of what I'm about to talk about. So in parties, you have the one that everybody knows about. You have the National Party.
Of course.
So there's the Republican National Committee, there's a Democratic National Committee. But who are on that committee are people from the state. So you have a state committee man, state committee woman that are from each state that go up and they're responsible for that. But they're also responsible, actually three, because the chairman does too. So Christian would go up too. And they'll choose who runs the party. And that goes all the way down to the county.
Yes.
So I know 67 counties. There aren't many Democrats in some of the counties, as you have pointed out. So let's just say there's supposed to be 67 of them. Whether they have it or not, that's up to the party. But are
there any Democrats left?
So now that we live in two different counties, I used to be the executive director of the Orange County Republican Executive Committee.
Okay.
And most of the time, that's a paid job. Well, it wasn't a paid job when I was doing it. It's volunteer. So one of my responsibilities is to make sure there's a budget.
Okay.
Now, the treasurer doesn't have to worry about a budget because you have the executive director.
Correct.
The executive director is because everybody's responsibility is fundraising. So you try to make sure you can make these targets. And one of the things that is constant where you get in trouble for is you spend every dollar of your money trying to get people elected. If you have money left over, typically, there's a lot of griping and grinding. There's a lot of griping because you lost, right?
Sure.
And if you had money left over and you won, I don't know, you're in a county like Orange County where the Democrats don't have to spend anything.
I heard that.
So I'm in Seminole County. It's it's purple, but it leans to the right. And you're in Orange County, so it leans left. So it should be really great conversation because the Democrats meet and you're part of their rec, and I'm part of the Seminole County.
Right.
So Seminole County in December, they voted for a brand new chair. The whole board is brand new. And ours come from a group called Grassroots for America.
Okay.
So I say that because they wanted to make sure they got in there. So there was a big to do about, can we elect these people who have been waiting to be in the rec for several months? We had a lot of trouble because of the fact that our chairman had gotten, our chairman had gotten in trouble, and he got a misdemeanor charge, and it was because it was about voting or finances. It makes it scary. Well, it's $200. It's $200, and we're now we're gonna kill the man. He's we want him to resign. We want him to do this. Well, Republicans always try to eat their own anyway. So, and you probably say that about Democrats, but Al Franken was, I think, the first one that ever actually got like beat the hell up.
Boy, did he.
Yes, because he just happened to be in the women's movement, and
Mhm.
the Me Too stuff came out.
Boy,
And
did that.
he's looking at Donald Trump saying, well, how can he be here and you guys
Democrats have a way of eating their own.
that was one that he had nobody to defend him.
Yes, a hard pill to swallow.
Well, he can run for election. I mean, didn't stop it. He could have run again.
You get disenchanted. Go back to Air America Radio.
He always got something to say.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
So yeah, so we met in person last Thursday, but I've not gone to a couple of meetings. Now, can't miss 3 meetings in a row
They take you
without
off the roster.
without an excuse. So I had to make sure I came to this one because look, one of them I just plain forgot about, but the first one I didn't want to go to because it was the budget.
Sure.
And they send the budget to you, and you get to look at the budget. And I'm looking at the budget going, there's absolutely no way that this is their budget. So we're in a.
I remember you showing me.
So they're guessing at things, and I said to David when I looked at it, I said they have $45,000 set us so for campaign. What campaign do we have this year that needs $45,000? And I was just kind of, cutting it up, being funny, because I knew that the board was new and they probably didn't know what they were doing. So I'm not going to go in there because that will never end. If Joel is in that room and that budget is pulled out, we're never going to get done because I had to do a budget. So I'm going to say, like, you only have $1,500 in your telecommunications. You know how much they've spent in telecommunications? This is the 3rd month, all right?
Okay.
How much do you think they spent in telecommunications?
$3,000.
Yes, almost $3,000 has been spent, double what they have in the budget. Then they want to make sure that they want to redefine what the campaign money is, right? The campaign money is the money that they want to use and for their Lincoln Day. So
Lincoln Day is
when we do our major fundraiser. Usually it's a sit-down dinner, formal.
Okay.
And we do one every year. And if you're very active REC, you'll do a smaller one called a Reagan Day.
Okay.
So those are what we call them. So it's like, okay, I show David the budget because I'm laughing about it, and I'm that's just me. Like, I'm like, I have to do this because if I go to this meeting, I would be motioning because this doesn't say where the money is coming from for Lincoln Day. How much money have you set aside to do that function?
Sure.
All these different things. Now we had a treasurer for a whole 3 days, I think it was, and then he resigned.
Ouch.
And then they appointed one, and then they elected one. So here you have a person that has no idea what's going on. There is no board because the board all resigns just before the election. And the only person on the board who's not going to show up is the chairman because he's not welcome.
Right.
So Ben Paris isn't there, so they had to bring somebody, in, and It's a mess. But it's a fun mess because it's really entertaining because you can't make this shit up, and it is perfect place for this. So we have a black chairman, which is his name is Cherry. Cherry, yes.
CHREEY.
Like the thing you throw in your mouth. Cherry.
Like the fruit.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's his last name. I'd have to look, but
we need to get the chairs of these executive committees.
Oh, absolutely.
On the shows.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm sure he will want to be on my show now that I've gone to a meeting since they've taken over.
Sure.
So again, David, I honestly did not go to that budget meeting because I did not want to be disruptive. I don't want them to think I'm just an instigator or something. I
Right.
want to be part of the party, a little bit different than the party because I don't fit the entire party system right now.
Sure.
And we talk about that all the time. Like
Right.
this, if I'm a freedom of speech kind of guy. I get there and I cringe when I hear things being said
Right.
that I just don't agree with. But I do still believe in my party. They have not run me out yet. But the last meeting I did go to, and I'll get back to it a little bit later because I want to hear about the Democrats in between. But I went to the last meeting, and I will say that what I was worried about in the first meeting will rise its head in just a moment. So tell me a little bit about the Democrats.
So the Democratic Executive Committee of Orange County, there's new leadership. Dawn Curtis is the chair. We have this thing where it has to be male, female, switch off every year.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So usually, that's okay. I mean,
Because I've had it
too.
See, I've had that conversation with you.
Right.
So you're the defenders of trans, and what if a trans gets in there? Do you have to get another trans to be the other sex, or
We're
no,
fucked.
so I'm just like those are funny things,
right? Yes. So I mean, in regards to
I'm not-
that issue, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it.
And I'm not trying to pick on them. I'm not trying to pick on them. I'm trying to say you're getting to a point where you can't do this man to woman, switch off.
Just leadership, just honest leadership, the best person for the job. That's what I'm looking for. And respect to Dawn Curtis, I believe that we still need the best person for the job. Someone with proven results.
Mm-hmm.
So saying that, the Dems have a new leader, new leadership. And just as the new leadership was on board, there were municipal elections in Maitland, Florida, and Ocoee, Florida. And I'll see posts on Messenger, Facebook Messenger, and other places of the Democrats out there for mayoral candidate George Oliver III and the
first
commissioner,
the first black commissioner in Ocoee who was wanted to be the mayor. So
correct.
Just want to kind of clarify. I just want to clarify that because this is
history of Ocoee.
This is Ocoee, and this history there.
Correct.
Democrats shouldn't be proud of it, but they are proud of it because they blame it. They blame it on the Republicans, even though we weren't.
And then the person who was running for commissioner, and I forgot her name already. We talked about it in the previous contest. However, she was a flawed candidate. I believe it was seat number 4. She was a flawed candidate. She lived outside of Ocoee. She ran for Congress against Dan Webster, and was destroyed.
Yeah, so she runs for Congress, and now she's running for county commission, city commission, in a city that she doesn't even live in.
Right, and I see all, and she qualified. She was able to find a residence in Ocoee at the time of qualification. I believe qualification was January 20th to the 27th. And I see the polls. So we're out here knocking on doors. There's the chair, the vice chair, some other folks knocking on doors for Oliver, for the city commission candidate. And
that's applaudable that they were actually out there knocking on doors.
Oh, sure.
So he should have done really well. Okay, never mind. I mean, you're talking about these two, right? And I'm sitting here thinking, we didn't even have to worry about Karen Green because she got destroyed in her primary. because what they said about her in the primary.
No, Karen made it out.
I
of the
know she
primary,
made it out of
regardless.
she made it
but
out of the
you
primary.
think about these flawed candidates.
It's like, hey, she doesn't go to this college. She's lying about this. She's lying about this. She's lying about this. Coming from a Democrat who's trying to get that seat.
right.
So then, what do you think? You elect that person, and then you're gonna win against.
I mean, we
Like-
would have had a Democratic version of George
Santos.
Santos.
Gotta love it.
And I still believe George won the race.
You should stay in the seat.
Exactly. Can't make this shit up.
Can't make this shit up.
So, I see all the Facebook posts come out, the pleas for people to make phone calls and come knock on doors. And I'm thinking, well, shit, you all should have been doing this long before January or February, and the elections in the early part of March. Y'all Democrats ain't going to do well. And what happened? They didn't do well.
So David, I get it, but it's cooler weather.
Bullshit.
It's a city.
Bullshit. How bad do Democrats want it? Bullshit. How bad do they want it?
Because
that's the issue with the DC. I mean, we're still doing virtual meetings, so there's really no connection. There's no camaraderie.
Wait.
Uh-oh.
You're still doing virtual?
Yes,
So
sir.
you guys are spending money.
Yes, sir.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, sir. We are still doing virtual meetings. And
You don't get cooties that way.
that's true.
How do you elect somebody that way? I
I
don't,
don't know.
that's very interesting.
I think the board went unchallenged, so it was just an automatic.
Well, yeah, because your chairman left, just like
Yes,
The Republican
yes.
chairman
The former
down there.
chair, I can't recall his name. He did not run for re-election, which was probably a good idea.
yeah, I like it. I like it that you can't remember his name because you don't want to mention it on here. So it's Wes Hodge and Charles Hart are
There
no
we
longer
go. Wes Hodge, yes.
are no longer there.
Yes,
They can they've gone their own way.
right.
But we haven't heard the last of your Wes. But I don't
Yes,
know.
Wes is still involved. I saw him last week
I
at
don't
the county
know.
commission's office.
I don't know if Charles is ever going to really be in charge because we burn out our chairman
Wow.
because we are so active and there are
That's
so many
fun.
things. There's so many. You're always getting complaints. You get complaints from both sides. You have to deal with both sides. You have to look like you're on both sides. Sometimes it's three different sides. Look, we had an election in the past where we had 3 Floridians in the
Right.
race. How do you think the Rex looked like at that time when you had the Marco Rubio people, the Jeb Bush people, and the Donald Trump people? These are Florida Rex.
Exactly. But you know something, and I guess because of my experience in Chicago, my political experience in Chicago, we had the Democratic Party, the Democratic machine, and decisions were made, by a small group of people, and we moved forward. And Democrats to this day continue to dominate Chicago and Cook County politics. Here in our local DEC, there was a request that was put out to the membership to, come up with some ideas on how to be a better party. And it's like, okay, create a new party, not a new party, but create a strategy by committee.
Well, you might have to. You might have to create a new, party.
We will have
No,
to.
I'm saying you
Yeah.
might have to if Blaze gets his bill passed.
The ultimate cancel act. Democratic Party will no longer be in existence.
Oh God!
And again, this is something that Democrats should be pulling their hair out. They should be screaming up and down Florida that, hey, this is not right. Republicans this has become a one-party state, dictators. Just throw everything against the wall, see what sticks. But, Democrats are going about their business. They're doing their selfies.
Well, they did They
As
did get elected.
Tallahassee burns.
So they did get elected. So they have those votes, and they need that popularity. So David, we had our agenda changed. So you have to vote on that because it took something out of the agenda.
Sure.
Then, moments before the meeting, there's an email. Nobody else probably read it because it was so close to the meeting, but it was the treasurer asking if he could, get 3 lines changed in the budget. Like,
Okay.
So because you can't turn in a report to the rec that doesn't match. Like, this column goes here, this column goes here. Telecommunications is already over $3,000. Why don't you break that down into internet, phone, which ones they are? Let's break up. So I say, wow, this is an opportunity for me to be helpful to the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they can ask me to help because I have the experience, but I don't not necessarily want to.
So how that turned out?
So I stand up and I said, okay, I make a motion that we allow the treasurer to revisit the budget. I got a second because I have friends that know the budget's effed up.
Mm-hmm.
But then the conversation goes to that's what the Democrat Party does, blah, blah, blah. And I was sitting there going, no, the Democratic Party wouldn't fix their goddamn thing. And as a matter of fact, they wouldn't vote in private. They don't do silent elections. They write it all down. I'm like, you guys don't know anything about the Democratic Party. I hold my own, thinking that now I get it. They don't understand.
Right.
They just don't want, oh, he's being bad. No, I wasn't being bad. I was like, you're trying to tell me that $45,000 for campaigning, right? It doesn't need to be there. There is no campaigning in Seminole County. I don't even think there's any municipal elections on the off year you do, you have
Orange County, right?
Like Maitland and
Ocoee.
Sure. But I'm just in awe of being attacked by the party for trying to help the party, and then nobody understanding what I was saying. So I guess my motion, but I did start out a little, the very first motion wasn't a motion, and I got the attention of the chair to say, could she make the motion?
Right.
You know how the chairman says something, I want somebody to make a motion on, X, and the person goes, I'll make that motion. It never says X. Right? You're supposed to introduce. Right. So the parliamentarian, in me, that little parliamentarian in me, because you're basically voting on a motion that doesn't exist, and that means he can write it any way he wants to write it.
How formal is the rec as far as following Robert's rules of?
We try.
Right.
We try. I think that we make a lot of mistakes because, we're like anybody else, but we stay with, we really try.
Mm-hmm.
So make the motion, get the second, put it up for discussion. They put my thing up for discussion, and it's everybody's not getting it. I'm trying to say, give the treasurer the opportunity to make those changes and bring it back to you.
Right.
He's not going to major change. So, you know what they did, right?
What's that?
They made an amendment to postpone revisiting the budget till the next meeting. So at the next meeting, they'll already have another month that they have spent money or raised money and have no columns for the money they've raised and everything else. So okay, this is phenomenal. I'm blown away, just trying to be helpful, and I'm in the wrong. So people look at your help. People looking like okay, well, I'm going to get on to another subject in a moment, but I'm hoping there's somewhere in the DNC because the next two things I tell you are going to blow your mind.
Let's hear it. Let's go. Let's hear it.
Okay,
Number one.
I told you about the amended minutes, right?
Yes.
Do you know why they amended the minutes?
Why?
So our chairman and our illustrious board
Sure. Let's hear it.
thought we need to endorse. We need to use Rule 8 to be able to endorse the President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Wow.
So that got taken out, but he explained what they were trying to do. But it's a little early. We talked to some of the candidates, and that's why it's not there. No, listen, you're trying to listen, I'm going to say this
Sure. Let's
to Tallahassee. I'm going to say this to our governor, who I have a lot of respect for, even though, sometimes I disagree on some things. But if he's thinking of running, then we should do everything in our power to support our governor. And the former president is running. We should do everything in our power to support him. That's what the party is about.
Right.
We're supposed to have this friction. We're supposed to have this debate. We're a party for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us are going to be saying Nikki is the one that we want. You forget that Nikki's in there. She's South Carolina. She's going to get votes.
I thought you were speaking of Nikki Freed. She
No,
is
Nikki.
popular among the Republicans.
If Nikki gets on our ballot, she would get elected because she's very popular with us.
Yes.
I mean, she has one issue that absolutely the marijuana issue is the only reason she gets elected, and then she blows it by running for governor against a Republican. So,
right. So you were saying.
So you can't make this shit up.
You can't.
So you want your county, Seminole County, to say, "Fuck you,
Governor
Ron DeSantis."
Yes. Wow.
Now, how about trying to put together a Lincoln Day? How about trying to raise money when you've already basically said,
this is our guy.
This is our guy.
But Joel, can you blame them to have the moxie, to have the balls to do that out the gate? Can you blame them?
Listen, this is a group of people that have no freaking clue what the actual rules are.
But does it matter when you have an agenda and you're going to push your agenda every meeting?
But see,
here's the thing.
Get it in there. Here's the thing. They have a super majority in the rec. They have more people in the rec than people that would decide with me or whatever.
Correct.
Most of them come from grassroots for America.
This is all planned out.
They've planned this, and they've got their people in place. They put two more people in, to help with some stuff. And so you have your people.
Right.
You have a super majority. But there are people out there like, what the hell are you doing? So we have a rule. And the rule is, if you miss 3 consecutive meetings,
right,
without an excuse,
correct.
So your excuse goes in, and you have to get it approved.
Correct.
If I say, I just want to have sex with my wife, and they would disapprove that. They'll say, sure. No, you should have been here at this meeting, right. Because you could have her anytime you want to.
If you're out of town or something like that.
Yeah, I'm a really bad person, but. We've never, ever read the names of the people that we were taking off the rolls. It's an automatic, right? It automatically happens because the Constitution, our bylaws say it happens, right? We have it in the bylaws. It happens. So Lee Constantine was a member of the rec.
Commissioner.
Yeah, he's a commissioner, right?
Yes.
So he's an elected official.
So there's no grace given to the electeds?
Well, no, not if you have to be a member. See, you don't have to do a membership if you're a state representative or state senator, because they're automatically part of the rec if they're Republican.
Okay.
But county doesn't have any rule like that because we are the county up, right?
Right.
So the state allows them to be automatic.
The state level electeds,
Right.
but not the county level electeds, despite the fact that the rec
Correct.
and the Democratic Executive Committee are at the county level.
Right. So they have to fill out the paperwork to do it.
Change that. Yeah.
Well, that's where you're they kind of went there because there's a bunch of people in an uproar that they're taking one of our esteemed commissioners off of the rolls.
Rules are the rules.
So they read all these names, and then his name comes up, and they try and save him. So then they go, okay, so if somebody makes a motion to, as you say, give grace to the commissioner.
Elected.
This is where you kind of find it really interesting.
What happened?
Because they don't have a coalition because nobody cares about the county. But those that know Lee Constantine think he's a little bit too liberal. So do you think they allowed him to get the waiver?
No.
You treat one the same way you treat all.
Yep.
So
I think it was the right vote. If the bylaws dictate
but you're not
for everyone.
But if you're going to read it every time, you're going to have conflict every time because they were upset that nobody reached out to them when they had missed two. Like self-responsibility. We are the party of accountability, independent accountability.
So Lee Constantine should have showed up.
So he should have showed up to this meeting because to the last meeting.
Right.
He missed 3 meetings in a row.
Correct.
I was almost ready to go. I kind of
call.
I was.
Call him. Lee, are you on your way?
All he had to do is send an email and say, "I have something I'm doing."
So the onus is on
working.
the individual, not the party, to track everyone down and say, "Hey, you're going to be
Exactly. So this should have been a no-brainer, right?
right."
You know why we do this, right? Do you have? This is why we do this. You have to make quorum. Now, when you have a rec, and in December, so in October, everybody's trying to make sure that they are qualified for December.
Exactly.
Everybody wants everybody to be in October because then they can vote in December.
Right.
Very specific rule. So we have the largest rec in December. And then maybe January, when the board has its first meeting,
right,
you may have about 75% of that might be there. I'm being generous. It's probably like 60%. But the next meeting, you're at 20%. You're not making quorum anymore. And it's because these people aren't showing up. And you can't make quorum because the number is so high, right?
No official business can get done.
So how much better is it to take 20 people off the rolls? That makes it easier to get to quorum.
Correct.
Because they're not active.
Correct.
So it's to help you. Right? I'm out here trying to say, this rule is out here to help you, because nothing says they can't come back and do the paperwork again.
Some people you gotta drag them to understanding. Other people come to the understanding on their own, and until the situation gets so fucked up, people realize, oh, we need to address this.
So it's like, okay. Then I told you at the beginning about Ben Paris, right? The misdemeanor.
It's the second point. Yes.
So it's kind of in this one. So finally it gets voted. We can move on. But the chairman breaks the law. Like literally, I believe they broke the law.
Okay.
Because Ben Paris has put in his excuses. He's never given up his membership.
Okay.
But he puts in his excuses. He got told that they weren't approved. And by the chairman's authority, he kicks him off.
Does bylaws give the chairman the
No.
authority to do that?
No.
So
There's no way, there's no rule, there's nothing. You cannot do it.
okay,
You have to, so to get somebody off of the rolls, they either have to have, if they're doing everything right, if I endorsed a Democrat, I'm out.
Right.
Period.
Right.
No way. Broke my loyalty oath. That's a no-brainer.
Okay.
But being charged with something, not
It's not
resigning
part of the
because you wanted him to resign,
Right.
just because he gave you a hard time.
So this was a personal
This
vendetta?
is a personal thing against Ben Paris, and
So did it,
to me, it's like, even if I'm a friend or foe of the chair, the former chairman,
it's illegal. It's
against the law.
Right.
You have bylaws for a reason, but
So
you
did
now-
anyone challenge the chairman?
There was no challenge. There is no challenge because he's done it. There was no way to
So
vote.
no one disrupted the meeting and say this is bullshit.
There was plenty that said bullshit, but they were saying bullshit about Constantine too. They were saying bullshit. They were saying
Constantine,
but they were saying bullshit.
legitimate. Yeah, but what
No,
happened to
the majority of
parish?
them, again, the majority of them are Grassroots for America people.
No,
So
I
so they were all mad at Ben Paris, so they take him off. So guess what? You've now put us.
those scorchers from those
You've now put us in jeopardy of getting a lawsuit. So if Ben Paris or maybe somebody can say that it affects it. Look, I can put in a lawsuit and say, hey, if he can do it to Ben, he can do it to anybody.
Exactly.
And that's not right.
And they're creating their own mess and losing credibility while they do it.
So at the end of the meeting, that's bugging me, but at the
Kind
end of
of
the
like
meeting,
when the Republican Party is going, making these, decisions based on feelings and based on vendettas.
you can't make good decisions
Hmm.
when you're engaged. Like you're
Right.
you're engaged in take a day before you write that letter. You're mad at somebody. Give yourself time to think.
It was personal.
That was personal.
It was illegal.
It's wrong, and you as a member should stand up. So when the meeting was over, I just wanted to make sure the board understood. What I tried to do was to help the treasurer and
Right.
you,
Right.
because you don't
Right.
know how to do a budget. You've never
Right.
done a budget. You're trying to guess at what needs to be on the budget. So I wanted you guys to be able to revisit it. And for the chairman not to challenge them. So I told you, they said, this is the way Democrats do things, right? They're basically looking
They
at
don't know shit.
they're saying that I'm a Democrat in this
They don't
meeting.
know shit.
You do know that the rule is you're supposed to be talking to the chair, not the individual that made the motion.
Yeah, but
Everything's
that's
supposed to
all
go to the chair.
procedural shit. What happened to Ben Parrish that's the issue.
Yes.
That's going down
He's
a
done.
really fucked up slope.
He's taken 2. He put in his request for 2. He's not going to show up at your freaking meetings. He's not going to come. He's going to be getting an excuse because he'll be working or he'll be doing something that he knows is excusable.
Well,
So he's going to ask for an excuse because he doesn't want to be in your house either. But he doesn't want to not be a member.
Right.
Of the rest.
This is the downfall of the Republican Party, and the Democrats have their own issues, and will be the downfall of their party.
So these county
This
parties,
is-
these county parties need to.
That's
Yeah.
not.
They need to have structure. They need to. We're coming up on. How are they going to handle the fact that we're coming up on the quadrennial? And we have to do all of our paperwork all over again because you have to either go on the ballot if there's too many people in that. They don't get it. They don't get it.
That's something they need to learn
They better.
very quickly.
They're not going to find out from.
It's not your battle.
They're not going to find out. They're not going to find out from the guy that could have given them the most help because he's going to be gone.
Yep.
He's already said he's leaving.
And then and they slit their own
That's the
throats.
secretary.
They slit their own throats. Like the Democrats, failed to listen to other voices within their outside of their clique and follow the same losing playbook. They slit their throats. They get the same results and continue to get the same results. And that was very evident during the Ocoee elections.
Right.
You can't win elections when you go into things half-assed with a half-assed strategy and half-assed vision.
So, last but not least, because I just remembered it, that Lincoln Day I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Guess where they're going to do it?
Where?
Orange County. You can't make that shit up. You're telling Seminole County Republican Executive Committee that you're looking at UCF Arena. You're looking and the second place you're looking at is a hotel that's right over the line. So you can't make this shit up.
Joel, but aren't there
arenas we had plenty of spots that we could do this, especially with the prices they were talking about $250 to go to a Lincoln Day. Nobody's paying $250 to go to a Lincoln Day.
Grassroots. You want the grassroots. You want the people there.
I want to know who has all the money.
Make it a barbecue.
Because who's going to pay all the bills when you have no money in the bank and you're trying to put together a Lincoln Day? You should already have gone out and said to some of these people, hey, we need this. But you know why they don't know these people? Because they only know their people.
I needed that laugh.
Guess who the name was that they tried to say they were trying to get? It's so big a name that we needed a big, huge place.
Charles Hardy.
No. Don Jr. Woo! Don Jr.'s coming and he's gonna make us a lot of money. Like, okay, how much money do we have to spend to get Don there? How much money are you going to spend to try to get the facility? How are you going to even recoup? You're not doing a fundraiser. You're basically going to be losing money. Well, I had to say that. That is where I was getting to. You can't make this shit up. I sat there and was in awe. I mean, I had no more fight in me when they did the Ben Paris thing. I was flabbergasted. And I walked away from this meeting going, where are we going? I love our state. I love our state. I love our state. I love the people that are working up in the state.
I'm through.
But what's going on in Seminole County? And I don't know anything about Orange anymore. They have a brand new board too. But that's enough. I'm going to say adios, amigos. I'm going to say, how do you say it in other ways?
Sawadi.
Yeah.
That's
shalom. Shalom is
Sawadi.
Shalom is hi and bye. And I do want to make sure, because we do have people in the Muslim community. So I'm going to try to say this right. Ramadan Mubarak.
Better than I can say it. We're broadcasting from the Oxford Sports Pub and Secret Society in Altamont Springs, Florida. That's Joel. I'm David. You can't make this shit up.
Make sure you like. Make sure you share, subscribe, and make sure you join the Rex because they're so much fun.
A lot of fun.
Thank you much.
Peace out.